Retailer Joann Fabrics has announced the company is going out of business. The store filed for bankruptcy last month. Now the company's having an out-of-business sale at all stores. Elizabeth Schulze is following that story for us. Elizabeth, Joann Fabrics, Party City, and Macy's are just some of these big brands closing stores across the country. So what's behind this trend?
Yeah, Diane, we're talking about some really well-known names that people grew up going to. Joann Fabrics has 800 stores across the U.S. They have more than 16,000 employees. A lot of those are part-time. So it's closing all of those locations. That'll mean those people who have worked there need to find new jobs. And this is part of a pretty bleak trend, Diane, that we've seen among some of these traditional brick-and-mortar retailers. When you look at store closures so far this year in 2025, they're up 420% compared to this same time last year. In other words, there are a lot more stores closing right now than there are stores opening. And this is according to data from Coresight Research. It expects that number will continue to grow. And obviously, each of these companies have their own issues they've been dealing with. Joann Fabrics, for example, has filed for bankruptcy twice. But there are a couple of themes here when you look at these store closures. One is that some of these retailers have struggled to come back from the pandemic still. Joann Fabrics, huge boost in sales. People were doing a lot of crafting at home during COVID. That stopped. It never really had a comeback. Another theme is that people are still looking for deals in the economy. And a lot of those deals, Diane, you can find more of them online versus in store. People do not want to go in store and have a bad customer service experience or find low stock. It's just as fast, especially with same-day delivery or in a lot of places, to just get those purchases online instead.
So what do these store closures say about the broader state of the economy?
We're looking so closely right now at the state of the consumer, because at the end of the day, how the American consumer fares tells everything about the overall state of the U.S. economy. Consumer spending is 70% of overall growth in the U.S. And so it's so important to look at how are shoppers feeling when they're going to these stores. Are they still optimistic? Are they still spending? One thing we know is that consumers are still frustrated with this consistently high level of prices. Yes, we've seen inflation get a little bit better, but prices are still high. The price level you're paying has not come down. So that means that consumers are very much looking for a deal, which, by the way, that is one of the upsides of these store closures, that there are those big liquidation sales that we're seeing right now. Companies like Macy's, Joann Fabrics, Party City, you can find some really cheap merchandise if you want to go there. But also, how is sort of this uncertainty about when inflation will get to a more steady place affecting consumers' plans for spending? So much about this is companies trying to assess, okay, do consumers feel like the economy is in a pretty good place? Are they going to continue with their plans going forward? Or are they going to pull back because there is a lot of uncertainty? And that uncertainty right now, Diane, is coming from a couple of different places. We're seeing it in the politics and policies coming out of here in Washington. The tariffs are a potential threat. We haven't seen a lot of those imposed quite yet, but if those do go into place, that throws a wrench in the plans of companies and possibly how much consumers are spending. So a lot of this right now is consumers maybe being a little bit more cautious, companies maybe being a little bit more cautious. That could be a red flag for an economy that has been so powered by these resilient shoppers continuing to spend even amid high prices over the past couple of years.
And Elizabeth, analysts expect 15,000 store closures this year, double the number we saw last year. So what do you make of that, and what are you watching for now?
That is a big number, right? 15,000 store closures, and you think about just how many communities are affected by that. Those are jobs lost. Those are places that people would have gone to that they now are having to turn to find other options, and a lot of that is going to big box retailers, places online, so Amazon, Walmart taking a lot of that business and that share. And one of the issues there when you talk to kind of the analyst community is they say it's hard for some of those smaller retailers to compete with those delivery options. If you can get same-day delivery, why do you need to go out to the store? And that does have an impact on the community. When you look at the list of places that are opening stores, a lot of them are those traditional or are those big box retailers compared to some of the smaller, more traditional ones that are closing stores right now.
All right, Elizabeth Schulze, thank you.
Thanks.